As many of you know, I have a friend who used to serve in Northern Ireland. Did quite a lot of work during the Troubles at a very high level, and he's been living in Ukraine for a considerable amount of time. So this is where my friend and I differ. He obviously believes very much, and he's committed himself to fighting out there. He believes very much that the war in Ukraine is in the strategic interest of the United Kingdom. He's committed to the struggle. I'm much more on the page with Donald Trump, who, when I look at it, I go, okay, what I'm seeing is a lot of body bags going to Russia, a lot of body bags going into Ukraine. Georgia is better than war. And especially when you listen to the way Trump's been talking, Trump's a very interesting individual. If he thinks there's a bully in town, he's going to go and be the biggest bully, and he's kind of like a big silverback gorilla, and he's not going to take any prisoners, and he's going to move the pieces on the chessboard to where he wants to get them, and he's going to make a deal, and he's going to tell people what's going to happen. But in a situation like Ukraine, where there seems to be no obvious chance of a winner in this conflict without horrendous casualties, he is a lot more sensible, and he will, and I think he's sensible when he does the other stuff as well, but he will say, what is it, 1 million dead now? I'm not even sure. Nobody really knows the true casualty figures. Let's say 1 million dead. That's a lot of dead young men and women in the battlefields of Ukraine, and it is very much like a World War I type battle, except with drones thrown in as well. And he just wants to bring it to an end. He wants it to stop, and I think that's commendable. And I genuinely believe if Kamala had won the election, we'd be in World War III now. And instead of in World War III, we're in a position where we might get peace. When I say might, it's like the mouse that roared. I don't know if any of you ever saw that film in the 1970s about a little tiny country that I think took on, I can't remember, took on France or Germany or something. But the reality is there's no chance of them ever winning, but they wanted to be heard. And that's really what the Europeans are like at the minute. I mean, Sir Keir Starmer has committed British troops to Ukraine to keep the peace. Well, there isn't a peace at the minute to be kept, but what Starmer seems obsessed with doing, he has an obsession with Zelensky. Maybe it's something about very, very bad Russian-speaking comedians that Starmer has a thing for, but he seems to want to commit our money, our troops, our treasure to a country halfway across the world that I don't think we do have a strategic interest in. In fact, I actually think getting heavily involved in Ukraine has the opposite effect to being in our strategic interest, because what it does, it puts every single man, woman and child in the country at massive risk. And risk of what? Risk of nuclear annihilation, which is still a risk. And this is another thing that Trump gets. Trump says he wants to see a world without nuclear weapons. Well, yeah, I'm in that camp. I know what nuclear weapons can do. I read all the books when I was a kid. When I served in the military, we knew if there was a nuclear war, we'd all be fried within minutes. And it's exactly the same now, except the yields on the warheads are bigger and better than they've ever been. They can kill more people. They can incinerate more people in one go, in one sitting. And to me, anybody that can either make nuclear weapons redundant so they're not usable because they can get shot down and neutralized, or anybody that can get rid of nuclear weapons altogether, including take them off Rocket Man. I'm not about our friend that sits near to Donald in America. I'm not about the other Rocket Man in North Korea. Take them off the Chinese, take them off the Pakistanis, take them off the Indians. Don't let the Iranians get them. Get Israel to disarm, get the West to disarm, get rid of nuclear weapons. I think that's a great idea. Trump thinks that's a great idea. Now, listen, Trump is not the Messiah. As they said in The Life of Brian about Brian. Trump isn't the Messiah. And he has been a naughty boy from time to time. But he's got some really good ideas. He's got some really fresh ideas. He's in his late 70s and he's more dynamic than most of our 30-year-old politicians. So I hope Trump does get a peace deal for Ukraine. And I hope it's a good deal for all sides. If you can have a good deal for all sides, there's going to have to be give and take. Crimea is probably never going to go back to Ukraine. Maybe there's some movement on the other fronts. Nobody really knows, but that's what will happen in the negotiations. There'll be give and take, and Zelensky needs to be dragged to the table, kicking and screaming, because it's not his blood that's been shed in those battlefields. It's his people's blood, and Russia, I've said this all along, Russia was wrong to invade Ukraine. Wrong, 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 all day long. But I also agree with Trump when Trump says if he'd have been president, it wouldn't have happened. And I think that's right. And it's a lot easier to put it's a lot more difficult to put the genie back in the bottle than it is to stop a war in the first place. So let's hope and pray that these talks in Saudi Arabia bring peace to Ukraine, a just peace, a lasting peace, some freedom for the people of Ukraine. And again, it's going to take a lot of time for this to work itself out. But I think we're hopefully in a safer place as planet Earth tonight, because peace talks are going on, as opposed to lobbing missiles and all the ordnance that's been flying about in Ukraine and killing tens of thousands and millions of people. That all needs to stop, and we need to see peace in our time. And everybody that is an enemy of peace will call me an appeaser, but I'm not. I just don't want to see young people being needlessly slaughtered in foreign fields, and I don't want to see our people put in jeopardy from nuclear weapons. So let's hope that Trump has the answer. See you all soon.